Not just go 1 inch over the 18 feet, spiritually, economically, socially, or whatever in your life. He said, exceeding abundantly. How's the Thanksgiving horn of plenty? He's promising that he can do for you more than you've ever experienced, and abundantly exceeding abundantly exceeding abundantly and above that. Blow your mind away? Above. A-double-L. Now that's an all-inclusive word. That's everything. All that you can ask. Oh, now wait a minute, God. You don't know how I can ask. I can ask for the world. I can do it. In fact, he says, I can even do better than that. I can not only do better than you ask, I can do better than you think. Oh, hold it, God. You don't know what an imagination I have. My mama, when I was young, sometimes would say, you're a dreamer. You're building skyscrapers. And he says, and I can go above that. Exceeding, even more than that, abundantly exceeding, above all that you can ask or think. Oh, wait a minute. Now, what's the catch in this, Lord? I know these programs that offer all these things free. There's always a catch in there somewhere. What's the catch in this? And here's the catch. According to the power that worketh in you. God can do exceeding abundantly above all that you ask or think in direct proportion and in direct ratio to the power that works within you. Well, what does that mean? Well, just tell a couple of, try and make my story short, but it can kind of reflect what I am seeing here. We have the Acorn Clan I meet with here. In the Mason United Methodist Church in Tacoma, we have the Tahoma Clan. And a month or so ago, 5-6 weeks ago, when I was there, I was asked, when you get through with the clan tonight, Grandfather, would you go to the Tacoma General Hospital? Named one of the members of the group that usually was there in the clan. She's in the hospital. She has infection in her feet. For the last month, she's been in and out of the hospital. Been in the hospital more than she's been out. Infection in both of her feet, her ankles, her feet, and her ankles and upper and lower legs are swollen real big. And the doctors are not able to do anything for this infection. They've had her on IV, feeding all kinds of medicine to her. She's getting worse and worse. And the doctor said this next week, they're going to have to amputate both feet. Would you go and do a healing prayer for her? I said, yes. I had my eagle feather with me, and so as I went to the hospital to take my eagle feather in, I heard that voice of Spirit saying inside, take your flute. My flute? My flute, yep, take your flute. Let your spirit and your prayers flow through your spirit through the flute to her. Okay. This is Sunday, April 10th. This week, on Wednesday, April 6th, I was with that clan, and who was sitting there but this woman. And she said, when you played the flute, I felt a healing energy going through me. Her ankles and feet are all normal. The next day when the doctors came in to talk about the surgery, she said, well, look at my ankles and feet. And they saw and they started checking, could find no sign of infection. She still has both of her feet. They kept her in the hospital for a week. because they couldn't figure this out. There must be something, the infection will come back certainly, but it didn't. They kept her on that IV. They even sent her home with IV, but they finally decided something happened. So after she gave her story Wednesday night of this week, then one of the other women who was there at the hospital when I did that ceremony, she says, there's another story that you haven't heard, grandfather. 2 days after you were there, a gentleman walked into her hospital room and asked, is this the room from which the flute music came 2 days ago? Yes. Well, my father is in a room two rooms down, and he says, he was very, 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 very ill. He says that he felt something happening when they heard that flute music 2 rooms down. And that was the beginning of his healing. He's home now. According to the power that worketh in you. One other short story. Some of you, I think probably I've told this story in Nashville, but many of you haven't heard it, and it bears being told here. I've been fortunate in my 83 plus years, almost 84 years now, just another couple of months, to have a good, healthy life. But once in a while I become ill, and usually when I get sick, I really do a job of it. I get so sick I think I'm going to die, and there have been a few times I kind of wished I could. I was so sick. Well, this was one of those times. Oh, a number of years ago. I was so sick. I'd been there in bed for about a week. The room would begin to spin on me. And it'd get faster and faster. And then I'd go into the heaves. But there was nothing heat because I wasn't able to hold anything. I couldn't even hold juices or water down. So it would be a dry heave. It would leave my throat sore. My wife didn't know what was wrong with me and didn't want the children to get it, so she kept the bedroom door closed whenever she come to check on me. But one day when she went out, she thought she'd close the door, but it didn't click. My 2-year-old son, I think it was a few years ago, because my kids now, well, my baby, my daughter's this week on the 14th. She'll turn 57. Oh. Kids are 57, 59, and 61 this year. The 57-year-old, he was only 2 years old then, so this was 55 years ago. He was 2 years old. He came down the hall and he pushed on the door and it opened. He walked in and the room was just beginning to spin for me. And I could see him coming in. He was that little 2-year-old with a big box spring and a big inner spring. He got his chin on the top of the mattress. I can still see him. He looked up in my eyes and I can still hear him say, he was just learning to talk. Daddy's sick? Oh yes, son, I'm so very, very sick. Me pray? Oh. 2-year-old. Me pray. Yes, son, please do. Oh, he didn't pray a great big evangelist prayer type prayer. Boom, 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 with all the bang and bomb to it. I can still remember every word of his prayer. All he prayed was, dear Jesus, make Daddy well. Amen. Immediately, I felt like an oil coming down, warm oil over my body. As it came down through, I felt my sickness leaving. I felt strength, strength, strength. I'd gotten so weak after a week of that I could hardly have the strength to walk to the bathroom. And now I felt strength. It was just as if I had never been ill. I got up immediately from that bed and went in. You know, you had no idea with the Mary, Martha, and Lazarus story on resurrection what I was going to be talking about this morning. You had no idea. But that's what this was, that resurrection power, that same resurrection power. And as Paul said, God is no respecter of persons. You don't have to be a bombastic